Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Salente, and it's Wednesday, May 28th. And once again, we are very honored, privileged to have with us a man of men, someone that talks about what used to be in this country called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights by the facts. Judge, thanks for being here, of course. And you have an article coming out tomorrow, and it's so true. It's about punishing freedom. It begins with all attempts by the government to evaluate the content of speech and deter or punish what the government and its benefactors hate or fear is un-American, unconstitutional, and unlawful. And if not stopped, will reduce, you ready for this, everybody? The American people to serfdom. We're already there, Judge.
Well, the serfs were not allowed to criticize the nobles whose land they tilled for the meager pay that they got. Now the federal government unconstitutionally gives out so much money, and yet in return wants to tailor the speech of the recipients of those funds to please itself and its benefactors. Example, Columbia University. You can stand in Columbia University and say the Gazans should be killed. No problem.
Yep.
Stand at Columbia University and say free Palestine. That's considered so offensive to the people that want to slaughter the Gazans that you are to be kicked off campus. And if you're not kicked off campus, the federal government itself will withhold funds from the university. That is a classic example of punishing people because of the speech. It's usually punishing people because of the speech of others. You know, the recipients of these funds are not the administrators that are making the rules. They're professors and researchers in labs somewhere. They have a contract with the federal government to do this research. I believe it's all unconstitutional. The feds shouldn't be giving money away, but they do. And some of the research is very worthwhile and has been very beneficial. What business is it of the federal government what speech these people articulate? That's what we're going through now. That's what the Trump administration is trying to do, to control the speech of the recipients of federal funds. And the First Amendment absolutely prohibits that.
Well, look what the colleges are doing. These kids that are speaking at the graduation, they're not giving them their diplomas and throwing them out because they're coming out for freedom of Palestine and coming out against the genocide. Even the schools
is the college doing that of its own accord, or is it doing it because it fears loss of donations from the donor class and loss of benefits from the federal government?
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. It's a crime what's happened to this country.
Just a couple of blocks from where I am now, New York University, a very, very fine school, has yet to give the diploma to the valedictorian of the class because he inserted 2 or 3 paragraphs into his approved valedictory speech about the sufferings of the Palestinian people and received wild, enthusiastic applause for it. And the administrators were humiliated, so they held up his diploma. This raises a host of legal issues, like the contract between his parents and the school. We pay you money, you educate my kid, you give him the diploma. You don't interfere with his speech.
Yeah, and you said, I mean, what a joke. Stealing our money to give it to these universities who don't pay any taxes. I mean, you're talking about NYU in New York. Look how much they own down there in the West Village in that whole area.
NYU is the 3rd largest landowner in New York City after, ready for this? The Archdiocese of New York, Columbia University, NYU. What do they have in common? No taxes.
No taxes.
Right.
Yeah. But we, the plantation workers of Slavelandia, we got to pay taxes.
Yes.
Now, this article is so important that you wrote. You say, under the natural law embraced by the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, our rights come from our humanity. What humanity? What are you talking about? Hey, I'm in charge. You have no rights. Don't you know who I am? Did you see the thing that came out about how the Biden administration was going after all the people that were against the COVID jab? And what that just came out? It was in the Defender. These are rights to live, worship or not, associate or not, say what one thinks, and publish what one says. Defend yourself using the same means as the government, to be left alone, to travel, and to fairness and due process. These natural rights are basically the rights protected from governmental interference by the Bill of Rights.
The
Those days
Constitution,
are over.
I'm sorry to say you're right. The Constitution has been as an instrument of restraint on the government, has been a dismal, catastrophic failure. And generations of federal judges and Supreme Court justices have permitted Congresses and presidents to get away with wildly unconstitutional behavior. How many wars have we fought since World War II? About 36. How many of them were declared by Congress? It's an easy number to remember. None. The last congressional declaration of war was December 8th, 1941. We all know what that was about.
Oh, you mean the one that they made up, Pearl Harbor, that one?
Right, the one where FDR knew exactly what was happening in advance and didn't care that 2,700 young boys asleep in ships would drown to death so that he could drag the American public into a war to help his second cousin, the bellicose Winston Churchill.
That was his second cousin?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
Churchill famously said to Congress, he brought the House down, that I am here because my mother married so-and-so. If she had married such and such instead, I don't think you'd be applauding me, meaning I would have been an American and I would have been a member of this body.
What a piece of crap that scumbag was.
Favorite picture of himself was holding a Tommy gun, cigar in the mouth, and a machine gun.
Yeah, he's the one also that, again, people have known, most of the people, overthrew the democratically elected government of Mossadegh in Iran in 1953.
Yes.
And Kermit Roosevelt. By the way, the only newspaper that finally reported what happened in 1953 was the Financial Times, quoting what Churchill said about taking the oil back from Iran. Mossadegh had the nerve, the democratically elected government of Iran had the nerve to say that oil belongs to the Iranian people, not Anglo-Iranian oil, better known today as BP, or Standard Oil, better known today as ExxonMobil. It's the oil of the Iranian people. No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not.
And I'm sure that Eisenhower authorized that overthrow as well. It was a brand new president, probably intimidated by his former boss, Winston Churchill.
What a disgusting crew of people that run the world.
Why do the worst rise to the top? You and I have talked about this till we're blue in the face.
I mean, when you look at that clown piece of scum, Churchill, and you look what he looked like, let's keep going on with the UK people. How about that guy, Boris Johnson, that the best cartoonist in the world could not have come out with a little freakier jerk than him.
There he is. He's the one who is bathed in blood. He's the one that talked Zelensky out of the peace arrangement that Zelensky's negotiators and Putin's negotiators had freely agreed to and entered into in Istanbul in April of 2022. That was 1 million deaths, 1 million 1 million deaths ago.
Yep. And of course, the United States, he was the front man for the U.S. to do
Correct.
it.
He was the front man for Genocide Joe.
That's right. And talking about Genocide Joe, just before I went on the air, I have to tell you, the magazine this week was 238 pages.
Wow.
And I have to read about this stuff
That's not a
every day.
magazine. That's a tome.
I'm telling you, I'm heartbroken. They killed another 74 Palestinians, Israel, last night. Well, yeah, in the last 24 hours, rather. And it's day after day. They're slaughtering them, bombing them into ruin. And where's the outrage? None. And now it was just reported that the United States has sent nearly 100,000 weapons or something since the war began. It was in antiwar.com, which they do a great job.
Yeah, Donald Trump has actually accelerated the flow of war material to Netanyahu. He may dislike Netanyahu personally, but he's giving him more than Joe Biden did. I mean, when you say they are doing the killing, you might as well say we are doing the killing, because we're the financiers of the war and the protectors of war criminals. Under the law, the natural law, the moral law, and international law, we are as culpable as are the IDF people that pull the triggers and the Israeli politicians that send them there.
Exactly. You're an accessory to the crime. I asked you to give me a gun to go kill somebody and I killed them, you're the accessory to the crime.
Correct.
And that's America. We have in this week's article, this week's Trends Journal, the Israeli war, 13 stories, 13 articles about what's going on there. And one of them is Madman Randy Fine says U.S. should nuke Palestine. Did you see that one?
No.
Randy Fine, you look at this guy, look at this little piece of shit. Look at this little slobby piece of crap. Look at this arrogant little boy. I'm the congressman down in Florida. These are the little shits that are running the world, all right? We just talked about Churchill and Roosevelt and one little piece of scum after another. This little slime ball said, what they're doing over there, we should nuke the people in Gaza. We should nuke the Palestinians.
Oh, this guy is not only 200 pounds overweight, he's mentally deranged. Wow.
And applauded for saying this. Oh, you were talking about freedom of speech? Oh, it's okay for him to say that. It's okay for him to say we got to do another Nagasaki, Hiroshima. That's fine. But if you say, no, we should stop this war and stop slaughtering and not support the genocide, you're blacklisted. You're blacklisted. There's not one person. You talk about the government silencing people. Tell me the mainstream media where they have people like that you have on judging freedom, talking about peace.
Nowhere.
Not one. Not one.
Nowhere. When Larry Johnson and I did that interview of Sergei Lavrov, the interview was viewed by 1 billion with a B people.
Wow.
Nowhere in the United States.
Nope. Yeah, one of the articles, Gaza is ours. Thousands of Israelis torment Palestinians on Jerusalem Day. And they're stealing more land now with the settlements.
Right.
And how about that? How about that for a bullshit word? Settlements? You're invaders in violation of the Geneva Convention and Article 242 of the United Nations. Who's making up this word settlers? They have driven 40,000 Palestinians out of their homes in the West Bank over the last month and a half.
Wow.
40,000. No outrage. Oh, Salenti, calm down. You raise your voice. You get angry. Why don't you be a little gutless person? Hey, where are all you priests and nuns? Where are all you Seventh Day Adventists waiting for the eighth day? Would you Quakers die in an earthquake? Where are all these religions? How come they're not coming out against this, Judge?
I wish I had an answer for that.
So what else you see going on that's important?
Well, I think that Trump's attacks on Putin, calling him crazy, are hardly beneficial to any continued American-Russian financial relationship. Lindsey Graham and that crew threatening to impose secondary tariffs, meaning if somebody else sells to the Russians, we would impose a tariff on them. Trump's using tariffs as sort of a personal tool to torment people that he hates, even though it's bringing down the economy. So I don't know where any of this is going to go, Gerald. You know, Trump has around him some intelligent people who are not neocons, but he's still surrounded by neocons. And to a person, he's surrounded by arch Zionists.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't see that changing at all.
Again, you mentioned Lindsey Graham. You're talking about pieces of crap. Look at that little jerky moron that's been quoted for how many? A decade? Every day. There's Lindsey Graham saying, what did Mickey Mouse say?
It's the moral equivalent.
Really? A little nothing of a clown. Oh, and by the way, hey, Judge, you vote for me. I'm going to end that war in 24 hours in Ukraine, all right? And now that I'm elected, I'm going to end that war before I get into office in Ukraine. And how about the Kellogg or the Kellogg Rice Krispies? Another arrogant piece of stupid. We're going to end that Ukraine war in 100 days after Donald Trump gets elected. How do they get away with these lies in front of everybody's eyes and nobody calls them out other than myself, yourself, and the people you have on Judging Freedom? Everybody, if you want to see what's going on that you're not hearing from anywhere else, from, quote, true experts in the field, like former CIA guys like Giraldi and McGovern, former UN inspectors like Scott Ritter, and people that have really been on the other side that know what's going on. So if you want to see what you're not seeing anywhere else, you got to go to Judging Freedom.
Thank you, Judge, today,
like I said, why aren't they calling Trump out for lying his way into office and saying he was going to do these things that he hasn't done?
Why won't mainstream media put the people whose names you just articulated, plus, of course, the great Colonel Douglas McGregor, on their venues? I just don't know. What will it take for mainstream media's eyes to be opened to the slaughter in Gaza, as well as to the lies being told by the Trump administration, by Trump himself, as you just pointed out, in order to get elected? The public has a very short memory.
Yep.
You and I have talked about this. They're more interested in Taylor Swift and her boyfriend.
Yep.
The football player whose name is now escaping me.
Yeah.
Than they are in the killing fields crafted by their tax dollars.
Yep. Again,
here's another thing that'll aggravate you and open the eyes of many of the people listening to us. Tulsi Gabbard, who, when she was a member of Congress, steadfastly fought against the surveillance state, against warrantless spying. Now that she's in charge of the surveillance state, announced over the weekend she's going to create one central location for all the spies to get all their data from, so you don't have to do the spying yourself. She's actually going to make warrantless spying more efficient. So she has really done a 180 degrees on this issue of the right to be left alone, which used to be guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment.
And again, that's the articles that you write that I'm telling people that you got to see what the judge is doing, and you got to go to Judging Freedom, because what he's putting out, the information that it gets only with the facts, it's you're not going to find anywhere else. Judge, this article about punishing freedom, it's so true what they're doing. Again, I used to be on everybody, as you well know. I got blacklisted when I came out against the Afghan war. I said, if Alexander the Great couldn't pull it off, if the British at the height of the British Empire into the Valley of Death Road to 600 couldn't pull it off, if the Russians couldn't pull it off, what makes you think we're going to win that war? Why, you anti-American? And I got blacklisted from everybody. And I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show, Good Morning America, everybody all the time. I didn't get back on.
You and I met on the set of the Glenn Beck program.
Yeah.
I said to the producer, who is this fellow? This guy with the beautiful hair and the lovely name. She said to me, he predicts the future. I said, oh, I got to meet him.
That was great.
That was what, 20 years ago?
Yeah, at least, yeah. And again, I only got back when I came out with the Panic of '08. I took the domain name out in 2007 and called that crash that was going to come. So when it's all about money, they want you on.
Right.
But you talk about peace, that we're, oh, by the way, one of the articles in antiwar.com about the United States bombs away in Somalia, how Trump is ramping it up. What the hell are we doing over there? What are we doing? This country's rotting in front of our
civilians in Somalia, just like we killed civilians in Yemen for no moral, legal, political, or military purpose.
And Judge
Trump, he couldn't even give you an answer.
Again, look, every time I go out, every time I'm in the car, the roads are crap. The thruway, anywhere you go, bumps in the roads, bridges rotting. Hey, you're in the city over there. How about the subway in New York? It's a night in Calcutta. Look what this country's going down to.
Fortunately, I don't have to go down there, but taking your life in your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, and $1 trillion for the military-industrial complex.
Right. Right. A military-industrial complex which hasn't passed an audit in 20 years.
Yeah, but listen, the guys in the business are getting richer, so that's. Oh, by the way, talking about getting richer and bigger, this is the cover of the Trends Journal magazine this week. Check it out.
Wow.
Like World War I and World War II, Germany ramping up defense for World War III. Heil Merz.
Colonel McGregor calls Frederick Merz the most dangerous chancellor of Germany since Hitler himself.
So please send them that article, the Trends Journal, because that's exactly what we're saying. Oh, and by the way, where does Mertzy boy come from? Oh, the BlackRock group.
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy, arrogant pieces of scum are running a country near you. Judge, thanks for being on. And everybody, you want to know what's going on, you want to go to Judging Freedom. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Gerald. The pleasure as always.